And welcome back to an episode of Geek Centurions. Me, your boy Eli.
It's me, Joe.
And so, Sony fucked up. I hate to use that language, but they messed up.
Yeah, in case you haven't been on the internet,
It's been like 2 weeks now, or this is about to be.
it's about to, I think, yeah, it might enter week 2 at the talking. Well, no, I think, wasn't it announced earlier in the week?
No, it was last week.
Okay, alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably because of 4th of July stuff,
Yeah.
in my brain. Anyways, yeah, so, Sony, PlayStation, they announced recently that in the year 2028, they will no longer be making physical discs for games. Everything from buying PlayStation games will be on digital front stores only.
Only.
Yes.
Jesus. And this has riled a lot of people because there's a lot of people who have very much issues with going digital. One of those being no real safe security for games that you buy or even things that you purchase, right? So I think one of the things that came out was like, hey, I bought this movie on PlayStation. Oh, too bad, it's gone.
Yeah, that's obviously one of the big talking points when it comes to digital only sort of stuff is that sort of Sony basically has the ability to just sort of take stuff that you own, right? It's one of those classic things that people have been talking about in terms of game ownership. There's the stuff like the Stop Killing Games stuff that's been going on in like the European Union, that sort of stuff.
I think they're coming to the U.S. too.
Yeah, to try to like pass laws and stuff, but or at least help out and try and like give consumers a way to like, hey, you can't just be shutting down these games that we buy. And for a good chunk of gaming developers, they're kind of like, well, you're not buying the game, you're buying the license to the game, that kind of
some
thing,
legal,
which is what, that legal mumbo jumbo that allows Sony to, or like a lot of game publishers like Sony, to basically just pull the plug on games, right? Of like, hey, you can no longer play this, you can no longer buy it on the digital front store, that sort of thing. And yeah, it sucks, and that's why. I mean, obviously, why there is such uproar, because physical ensures that you can't do that.
It's an uproar because people who aren't normally talking about games are talking about it. They had I think his name is Gene Park. He's a very well known gaming journalist within the sphere. He was on CNN talking about it.
Yeah, and when that sort of type of news makes it to the mainstream outlets like that, then it's kind of a this is going places. And granted, Sony came out and explained their reasoning. One of which, I think the one that I think people have been sort of taking a bit of jaw at is that, well, more and more people are buying digital only. That's we're just following the market trend and stuff, and like they don't seem to have an inkling of wanting to reverse course or do anything like that, right?
Yeah, no, I do think that's the case because, like, look, I get it for convenience, right? Like, I don't have enough time to go out and go buy a game. I can just easily buy it online. We have things like Steam as an example, but the thing with Steam is you own the game.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, people using the defense, like, oh, Steam is what really started this, like, digital only stuff. It's like, well, yeah, computers, obviously, like, hell, like, modern computers nowadays don't really come with disk drives anymore, but you can purchase a separate one, and we've seen a lot, I've seen a lot of videos of people showing that, no, you can actually take your Steam games and write them onto, discs and stuff, like, to have them play off the disc or whatever. So that's still something you can do, and ultimately, that's something cool about Steam, is like, as long as you can log into your Steam account, you can just download all your games again. Like, there's no, like,
you
Steam,
own it.
Yeah, your Steam isn't going to take any of your games out of your Steam library, right? Like you're just going to own that. And, it's, I think part of it, too, I mean, should we maybe talk about the whole, pandemic in 2020 as a contributing factor to...
I mean, yes, that is without a doubt a contributing factor.
Because people were stuck at home and like you couldn't go out to the store, so you would rather.
There's a rise of online gaming and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I do think that is the case too, but it's also just one of those things where like, I wouldn't say we allowed it to happen, but it's one of those things where like, again, convenience was the key to all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are games that I would often just download from like PlayStation or Xbox because like I just don't have time to go out and buy the game. But if it's a game that I will actively want as a physical, I will go out and go get it at the same time because there's something about a physical disc that's so much fun about it.
Yeah, and there are some stuff that you want to keep physical because you know how precious it is. Because I remember when Expedition 33 came
Dude,
out, you
ooh.
were like so excited for the game that you wanted it physical. So we went out. You were going out to every store available, try to find a physical version of it.
And like if you're anyone who worked in physical retail for gaming, they're like, yeah, they didn't make a lot of physical copies.
Which is definitely interesting. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, but and heck, and to further push that point, right? The Marvel vs. Capcom collection and the Capcom's like fighting game collection
Yeah.
stuff they've been putting out recently. Especially the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, right?
Yeah.
Like people wanted that stuff physical because, especially with Marvel vs. Capcom, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, like those games were on digital and then they were just gone because of the licensing.
Out of print.
Yeah, the licensing involved with Marvel, like that stuff, like means that like games are just taken out. Even like the Deadpool game, right? Like that stuff gets pulled off the shelves, digital storefronts as well, because it's like Marvel doesn't really want to have the licensing to just reprint these old games or whatever. So why bother? Why bother putting these up on the digital storefront? Marvel's not getting paid for it, so like that's sort of another reason. It's like
people fought hard for that to get that back.
Yeah, so it's like in that
like I have a digital version, yes, but I also have a physical version of that game.
Yeah.
And I'm tempted to maybe get another physical.
Like for a different console, right?
Yeah.
Cause
just
I think,
to have it.
Yeah, because it's the physical version we have is the Switch version, which is fun, but obviously.
We also have the PlayStation one.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, point being.
Yeah. Also, we need because these games, there's always some legal stuff or some other like third-party situation where it makes it hard for people to really keep those games. Also, over time, they just become hard to find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I think I was at one convention we both found CVS 2 for the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And we also found Melee for GameCube.
Yeah, which is like that's pretty.
That's a crazy find.
It's definitely a crazy find to find. Like heck, I was to say like I think Melee still needs physical stuff to survive. Although I think more people are playing on the Dolphin emulator because it's just kind of easier.
Yeah.
But that's a whole conundrum.
Like, look, I get the convenience, but people want that physical because it's the best way to conserve those games.
Yeah, ultimately that's how you preserve a lot of these games, is having that physical copy. And at the end of the day too, I mean, we should have seen this coming when PlayStation were selling like a separate disk drive for the PS5 Pro,
Mm-hmm.
or like at least one of those versions of the PS5. Like if you wanted a disk drive, you can buy it,
Yeah.
And
I think there's an interesting conversation that I was also had about it, where people were talking about with physical, you can see a changing of price. Some that can go up higher, some that can go up lower, right?
Yeah.
With digital, you don't do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's also that monetary, because that's the thing, right? Because I believe isn't like for the Nintendo Switch 2, the big controversy, right? Like they raised the prices of the games, right? Like some of them are 70, some of them are 80, right?
Yeah.
But I believe it's the physical boxes that are less expensive or more expensive. I forgot.
I don't remember.
It's one of those things of like you could buy. There's an option for a cheaper version, right? And the whole point is that in theory, I think it was the physical version that might have been more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that sort of perspective of like physical costs us more to make, so we have to charge more. Why not just do digital? And the problem with that is that we've clearly seen from the game industry is that even when something is digital only, they're still selling it at these higher prices, like the $70 or $80 range, right? Mm-hmm. And heck, GTA 6, which is going to be coming out soon, the Ultimate Edition's like $100, right? Are we gonna be getting like any price drop for that if it's a digital only game?
Probably not.
Yeah, Steam does the Steam sales, right? It just finished one like very recently at the time of this recording, where they have a lot of games marked down and stuff. But if it's a game that just came out like a week ago, it's not gonna mark down. Like ultimately, it's like these digital games
Mm-hmm.
aren't going to be seeing the same sales value, or rather discounts, that you would see from normal like physical games, right?
Oh yeah.
Where the retailers will mark it down because, hey, we need to get rid of these things, so let's just sell it at cheap, right? That sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes, the other thing too is used gaming, right?
That's
Which
true.
remember, Xbox One, when it first came announced.
One, not the ONE, not the original.
Yeah, yeah. That came out, and Microsoft really was trying to figure out a way to get rid of used gaming, and that was part of the DRM stuff, right? Heck, funny enough, PlayStation had that infamous little, this is how you share games with your friends on PlayStation, just give them the disc. How are you supposed to do that when it's a digital only thing? They haven't even said anything about it. They haven't said if you're able to do that. Nintendo does.
Yeah.
The Switch 2 lets you share your Nintendo Switch games digitally,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're able to do that. But nothing on the PlayStation front. It's like,
it's so funny that brought back because like they were that's what like led them to be much more popular, but now they're doing the exact opposite.
Yes, this is
to the point where like every other company is like, no, we're doing physical, guys. Or even like companies that are like have no involvement in this are like, physicals are a lot better than digital.
Of course, the infamous tweet from Domino's of like, guys, we're doing digital pizzas only. So yeah, it's Sony is getting clowned on in that sense, much like they did to Xbox, like more than a decade ago, right?
Yeah, but it's sadly I think it because of growing trends, it would not surprise me. I think Xbox actually did make a comment about the possibility of actually doing it at themselves too. But then I think they also like, if you quickly read the room, I think also they're like, okay, they're like, we're also still allowing physicals, guys.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's going to be an interesting time to see because there's very clearly backlash. Although people wanted to start boycotting some PlayStation stuff up until they re-released Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and 2 on the PlayStation 5, and then everybody was like, oh, look at this new COD. Let's play the old COD again. It's like, oh, why is it that we're bad at boycotts, guys?
I mean, here's the thing, right? They're gonna people are gonna be watching for them at every turn now. They're like, yeah, other companies like Domino's is like,
they can have their
they're ripping on them, yes.
Yeah.
But every time they mention something on social media, you can see a list of people going like, okay, but put things back physically.
Yes, that's right. There was the tweet about them showing off a new fight stick or whatever, and I think a lot of the comments were like, physical games, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, keep making physical games.
Oh my god, that reminds me of the whole Tocon thing.
Oh yeah, that's a funny little roundabout too. Although I guess not that important in terms of the topic of this episode, but yes, Marvel Tocon Fighting Souls was not being sold in a bunch of countries because you need a PlayStation account access or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, well, all right, that seems a little odd to do, especially since the game's coming out on PC and stuff. I did see some of those countries were off the list now. Like I think the Dominican Republic and Pakistan, I believe, are off the list. But yeah, it's the Helldivers 2 scenario back in the day, right? Where you need a PlayStation account to play on Steam or whatever, and there was a bunch of countries that like, hey, you can't make a PlayStation account here, so you can't play the game. So it's that again. So, but yeah, that further proves sort of like PlayStation sort of I don't want to call it arrogance,
but you're gonna call it arrogance.
But I feel like I have to call it arrogance because ultimately that's kind of where it kind of leans into, right? Of Xbox, the brand itself is kind of, it's getting a shot back in the arm to try to be relevant again. But at the same time, it's probably going to take a lot more than just switching the logo.
They also just like a bunch of.
That is true, yeah.
So they're struggling hard.
Yeah, they did let some stuff go. They were what is it? They gave up ownership of Double Fine, and I think the people that made Setsuna Hellblade, right?
Yeah, Ninja Theory.
Yeah, Ninja Theory, yeah.
And then Expulsion, or well, I'm forgetting their names. I'm probably remembering it from a different one game. Yeah, Compulsion. That's what I want. Yeah, no, they're losing the footing. But like, there are moments where like, okay, Xbox ain't looking too bad now, and I'm like, give
It's
it time.
yeah, it's like yeah, there's just still going under some rocky scenarios there, and then Nintendo has done mostly fine. I feel is just most people are kind of just like don't like the price of the Switch too, but it's kind of inevitable given the current you know political situation going on. Heck, the Steam machine that we all thought was going to be our Lord and Savior from Mr. Gaben turns out to be like over $1,000. So a lot. It doesn't even come with a controller, mind you.
No.
And it's like, well, shit, I'm not paying $1,000 for this with no controller. This is ridiculous. Even though, yeah, it's pretty comparable to like a mid-range PC, right?
But it's not as strong as a PS5.
Yeah.
No, it's just a sad part. Yeah, no, the gaming has been really weird nowadays. It's become more of an expensive hobby, and even then, it doesn't really feel like much of a hobby anymore.
Yeah, it is kind of we're in a bit of a situation that I think some people are calling about, not predicting, I guess, but like are worried about another video game crash, similar to what happened in the '80s, right? Which I mean, it does seem like that might be where we're going because given the scale of how big the budgets are getting for a lot of these AAA gaming studios, right? And it's very clear of like, because I mean GTA 6, like that, it's probably has taken like a bunch of money to make, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna need to make that money back. And like a lot of people were saying like this, we could see this being like 100 base price, right? It's not. I think it's going in that $70-$80 range. I think last time I checked, but I mean, how much money are they going to be realistically making? Because I mean, I know they're going to be doing something similar to GTA 5, right, with their online,
Yeah.
where it's a bunch of microtransactions and stuff, right? But at a certain point, like it's got to give, right? Like,
yeah, no. It's a tough situation. It really is. Like I have no answers to it because I'm not that well versed at it. Like I'm only just talking about what's been going on. Like what from what I've seen, I can't really speak on like what how things could be better. Obviously, for one, buy physical. That's pretty much number one right now. Because like a lot of games, I'm like, oh man, I should probably buy that physically. I'm probably gonna get this game physically. Like it's more likely I'm getting more physical games obviously over digital unless like it's a game that I'm like, yeah, I don't see myself like buying a disc for this. I'm just gonna play it digitally.
yeah, and I think it's I wouldn't say like it's not hard to do buying physical anyway too, because you can still probably buy physical games online like through Amazon and stuff, and it probably doesn't
Yeah.
it's not that big of a hassle. Because I feel like well, no, I've at least ordered like a special edition of like one of the Fire Emblem games back in the day, and I had it mailed to me. So it's not like bad. Like you can get physical games and have it be not as much of a burden as going out to the store and finding that stuff. Um, but yeah, no, ultimately, yeah, it's a herring scenario here. I mean, it would be very bad optics for PlayStation to not walk this back because I mean, at the end of the day, like, cause I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but they still make physical CDs for music, right?
Oh, they do.
Yeah, like, even though nowadays most people listen to music on like Spotify or Apple Music and stuff like that, right?
Oh yeah. But
So
I mean, like as much as it kind of annoys you specifically, people have been getting into vinyls again.
see, it only annoys me if you buy a vinyl and you don't have a thing to play the vinyl.
That's fair.
Because at that point you're just buying just this big disc just to show off. It's like I don't know. I've always been sort of like unless it's like a collectible or like something that isn't supposed to be moved kind of thing, then I feel like you should get some use out of what you're buying, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, but yeah, no, I do think that is a good point that at least in the music industry, right, people are buying stuff like vinyls and like that sort of physical stuff. So I do believe that there is still going to be there will be and there should be spaces for physical gaming to still exist in terms of game preservation. Because ultimately, yeah, I think the biggest problem would be if you're buying a game and it gets just taken off the storefront, and then PlayStation gets rid of it because it's like we're not selling it anymore. Like, I mean, Destiny 2 is basically over. They're not making stuff for Destiny 2 anymore. Like, at what point is it like you can no longer play Destiny 2, right? That sort of thing, right? Like, there's a part of my brain that kind of just goes like, like the preservation of gaming is probably one of those things that people just don't think too much about. But like being able to just play old games and having it be playable, that's something that I think a lot of people should be able to do and be able to have access to. And like for a lot of those older games, the only way to do that is physical. So
yeah. Man, there's a lot. Honestly, yeah. The only solution I can give right now, again, that's the only room we got. It's just get physical, because that's the only way they'll learn. I'm pretty sure they'll if enough time they'll think it over, because like, dude, there's so many people talking on him. And then it recently came out that they're gonna be at San Diego Comic Con with a panel, and there's gonna be people being like, physical.
Yeah, when you're doing if you're having a public event or whatever, there's probably going to be some hecklers out there, and I hope they're loud, and I hope they get their point across, because it's
Jesus.
Well, yeah, no, I feel like we're kind of in a bit of a
talking circles.
Talking circles, but also just sort of like realizing that, man, this is sort of we might be seeing an end of an era kind of thing, right?
I'm not that,
like sad.
Not sad, but I think what do you call it when you're like overly negative, pessimistic?
Yeah, pessimistic.
I'm a little more optimistic about this situation, because like people are noticing, people are responding, and people are showing up. I think that's the most important stuff, and I think that's gonna get what people to jump aboard.
Yeah, I think there's one thing the internet is good about, is making companies not forget, right? And I do think that is probably a defining factor. Like, for something, for a company as big as Sony, like, there's going to be people out there that are just going to be constantly trying to bring this up, right? And hopefully, yeah, we get some stuff done with that, right? Because again, like, physical has a purpose, has a place of being, and yeah, like, and it's like I said earlier, right? Like, heck, even films, right? We still get Blu-ray releases and stuff of movies. We're not solely stuck on movies only being on a streaming service, right?
Yeah.
And even then, we've already seen the dangers of stuff like that, of like having certain shows or movies only being on a streaming service, and then they get removed because like, it's like, they're not really doing anything for us. Like, what was it? There was that whole big thing with Warner Bros. Discovery getting rid of a lot of cartoons on the.
Oh yeah, and then they ended up being on a site that really helps them out more than they would be there.
Yeah, I think it was Pluto, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but yeah, no. Anyways, that's I think that's about it, right? Like,
yeah, it's about as much as I can do.
Yeah, like, physical, it's important. Sony shouldn't be allowed to get away with that, and I think people should talk more about it.
Yeah, and it's getting the right ears.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, if you enjoyed what you heard, obviously we're gonna be more optimistic, and hopefully things turn out well. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to follow us on all social media: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll be active on, and the link to all podcasting sites. We're officially part of like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Castbox, and all that good stuff, and a link to the YouTube for audio listeners out there want to put a face to the voice, and a Patreon for informal support. And yeah, that's about it. It's been me, your boy Eli.
Me, Joe.
Go support physicals, and you guys have a good one. Peace.